She said the head nurse hates me.
I do not hate her.
Back up a bit. She said I had an unhappy love affair. She said it was your priest.
What if the laughter and warmth we saw on MASH were only part of the story? Behind those familiar faces were real lives, full of unexpected turns. Some found joy. Others faced private struggles, and a few experienced heartbreak that fans never saw.
Colonel Potter, sir, I'm wearing a Warner bra. My last wish is to be buried in my mother's wedding gown. I'm nuts. I should be out.
I've seen these Dodgers for 40 years, all the trick. No, Corporal, it ain't gonna go with me.
The people who brought comfort to millions had their own challenges once the cameras stopped rolling. Some stories ended quietly, while others continue to touch fans today. This isn't just about what happened after MASH, it's about how deeply they lived, how much they gave, and the legacy they left behind. By the end of this video, you'll never see MASH the same way again. The show that made us laugh through tears. Inside the legacy of MASH. Some shows fade with time. Others become a part of us. MASH wasn't just another TV series, it was a lifeline. For 11 unforgettable seasons, it made us laugh when we needed it most and cry when we least expected it. It was warm, bold, funny, tragic, and at times, painfully real. If you grew up watching MASH, you probably felt like those characters were part of your own family. But what happened after the cameras stopped rolling? In many cases, the real-life endings were just as emotional, sometimes even more shocking, than the ones written into the show. When it first aired in 1972, the world was in turmoil. America was deep in the Vietnam War, and trust in government was crumbling. Though MASH was set during the Korean War, audiences instantly understood its deeper message. It was a war show that dared to say, we're tired, scared, and we need to survive together. What made MASH truly special was its quiet honesty. It didn't preach about politics or try to teach big lessons. Instead, it used humor to convey real pain, transforming war and trauma into something people could relate to. It turned comic gold into a source of deep reflection. The show didn't hide from the hard stuff. It showed people struggling, coping, and surviving, just like in real life. And behind the scenes, the emotion was just as strong. That's why MASH aussi wasn't just a show, it was a reflection of life. The numbers say it all. Over 105 million people tuned in for the series finale. Goodbye, farewell, and amen. That's more than most Super Bowls. It was the end of an era. And even now, decades later, fans are still watching reruns like they just aired last night. Because the world they created, with all its messiness and beauty, still matters. After the spotlight dimmed, the story didn't end. Behind those familiar smiles were real-life struggles, quiet victories, and at times, heartbreaking goodbyes. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain, not with tabloid drama, but with honest curiosity. Because MASH didn't just leave us with laughs, it left us with questions, memories, and a connection we're still trying to understand. Stick around, because up next we're starting with a fan favorite whose sudden exit from MASH shocked everyone and changed the show in a big way. McLean Stevenson, the goodbye that changed everything. Now, if you've ever watched MASH, then you probably remember Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake. He wasn't the loudest or the smartest in the room, but he was warm, funny, and had this clumsy kind of charm that just made you feel safe. That role was played by McLean Stevenson, and honestly, he made Henry feel like the kind of boss you'd want in a chaotic place like a war zone. He was calm in the storm, goofy, kind, and always trying to get back to his peaceful life in Illinois. But here's what a lot of people didn't know. Behind the scenes, McLean was feeling a little overlooked. Even though fans loved his character, he felt like Alan Alda, who played Hawkeye, was getting most of the shine. More lines, more attention, more everything. And McLean wanted more than just a supporting role. He wanted to be the guy. So after 3 seasons, he decided to leave MASH, and that's when things took a turn that no one saw coming. In his final episode on MASH, it all seems like a touching farewell. He says emotional goodbyes, hugs his friends, and boards a plane home, leaving the 47th behind. Everything feels peaceful, like he's getting a happy ending. But then, in a shocking twist, Radar walks into the operating room and quietly announces that Henry Blake's plane was shot down over the Sea of Japan, and there were no survivors. The moment is heartbreaking. And here's what makes it even more powerful. The other actors didn't even know about this scene. The producers deliberately kept it a secret from the cast to capture their genuine reactions. So when you see their faces fall in shock and grief, that's not acting. That's real emotion. Fans were crushed. It was one of the first times a comedy show had ever taken such a dark, unexpected turn. That moment changed how television told stories forever. But while the audience was dealing with the shock, McLean was facing a very different kind of challenge. He thought leaving MASH would launch his career, but things didn't go the way he planned. He starred in a few shows like Hello, Larry, and The McLean Stevenson Show, but none of them lasted. They got canceled fast, and nothing came close to the success he had on MASH. In later interviews, McLean Stevenson admitted that leaving MASH might not have been the best decision. As much as audiences loved Henry Blake, they didn't follow McLean with the same devotion after he left, and that must have hurt. Still, he stayed active in show business. He guest-starred on popular shows like The Love Boat and The Golden Girls, co-starred in the Disney film The Cat from Outer Space, and even guest-hosted The Tonight Show, an impressive 58 times. People still liked him. He was funny, charming, and always professional. It just seemed like the right project never found him again. Then, on February 15, 1996, McLean passed away after a cardiac arrest. He was 68 years old and the first main cast member of MASH to pass away. Meanwhile, McLean's story ended quietly, but there were others in the cast whose final moments were just as moving, and in some cases, even more heartbreaking. Larry Linville, the man behind the most hated face on TV. Larry Linville played Major Frank Burns, a character who was meant to be annoying. He acted bossy and nervous, and tried too hard to be important. That's what made the other characters, and the audience, roll their eyes at him. And strangely, that's exactly what made him unforgettable. You probably didn't watch Frank because you liked him. You watched because you loved to hate him. And that was Larry Linville's true magic. Here's the surprising part. Behind the camera, Larry Linville was nothing like Frank Burns. Off-screen, he was calm, kind, and soft-spoken. He had studied acting at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London, which showed how seriously he took his work. His co-stars said he was generous and never acted like a star, which is surprising considering the fact he played such a frustrating character so well. After 5 seasons on MASH, Larry decided to leave the show. This departure wasn't due to any BTS drama. He simply felt the role had reached its limit. While other characters were changing and growing, Frank stayed the same. As a trained actor, Larry wanted to play roles with more depth and emotion, so he moved on. Unfortunately, like Stevenson, life after MASH didn't offer him the fresh start he'd hoped for. Larry continued acting and appeared in shows like The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, and Murder, She Wrote. He even did voice work for cartoons, Still, most people only saw him as Frank Burns. Casting directors and fans had a hard time seeing him as anyone else. That made it difficult for Larry to find new roles where he could show his full range as an actor. That kind of typecasting takes a toll. Larry kept his personal life mostly private, but those close to him said it wasn't easy. He went through several marriages and often stayed away from the spotlight. Imagine putting your whole heart into a role, only to find that one performance would define you forever, and not in the way you hoped. It's quietly heartbreaking, the kind of pain most fans never see. Then, in the late 1990s, came the real heartbreak. Larry was diagnosed with a tumor in his lung. He had surgery, but complications followed. On April 10, 2000, he passed away at just 60 years old. His passing didn't make headlines. There were no major tributes and no breaking news stories. It was a quiet end for a man whose face had once filled millions of homes. Larry Linville gave everything to a character people loved to hate, but it was heartbreaking that in his final moments, people couldn't see him beyond Frank Burns, even letting him pass quietly without a recognition of some sort. Sad indeed, but that was his brilliance. However, before MASH found its lasting rhythm, there was another fan favorite who helped set the tone. Let's talk about Trapper John and the bold choice Wayne Rogers made to walk away. Wayne Rogers, the bold exit of Trapper John. In the early seasons of MASH, Trapper John McIntyre was a big part of what made the show shine. Played by Wayne Rogers, he was the smart, funny, and slightly wild surgeon who worked side by side with Hawkeye. Their friendship, filled with quick jokes and harmless trouble, brought warmth and energy to the war-torn setting. Together, they balanced the heartbreak with laughter, and for a while, it felt like the show couldn't work without them both. Then suddenly, Trapper was gone. No final goodbye, no last moment with Hawkeye. The show only mentioned that he had been discharged and sent home. That quiet exit left many fans confused and disappointed. Behind the scenes, Wayne Rogers had his own story. When he joined MASH, he was told that Trapper and Hawkeye would share the spotlight equally. But over time, the scripts focused more and more on Hawkeye, leaving Trapper in the background. Rogers felt the change and asked for more balance. When nothing changed, he made the tough choice to leave the show. He didn't make a big announcement or cause a scene. He simply chose not to return for season 4. What surprised many was how quickly he bounced back. People expected his career to take a hit after leaving such a major role, but Wayne proved them wrong. He landed a lead role in House Calls, another medical comedy, and turned it into a successful series. He also made appearances on shows like Murder, She Wrote, and Touched by an Angel, showing off his range in smaller but memorable roles. Then came the twist no one saw coming. He built a second life as a financial expert. Wayne Rogers didn't just dabble in investing, he dominated. He became a respected voice on business shows like Fox News Cashin' In, offering stock tips and breaking down market trends like a seasoned pro. His net worth soared, not from Hollywood, but from smart investments and business strategies. He even wrote a book called Make Your Own Rules, where he shared how he created success outside the expected path, both as an actor and as a businessman. People who knew him personally said he was wise, kind, and full of strong values. He didn't care much for fame or drama. Instead, he focused on what truly mattered: his family, his beliefs, and the freedom to live life on his own terms. When he passed away in December 2015 from pneumonia complications at the age of 82, fans felt the loss deeply. Not just because he once played Trapper John, but because he lived a life that quietly inspired others. Even though Wayne Rogers didn't stay on MASH, As long as many expected, his role made a big difference. He helped shape a show that became one of the most famous in television history. And when he left, because the role no longer gave him the respect he deserved, he showed what quiet strength and self-respect really looked like. Harry Morgan, the father figure who stole our hearts. When Trapper John left MASH, it would have thrown the show off balance. But instead, something steady and strong came in. That something was Harry Morgan. He joined in Season 4 as Colonel Sherman Potter. And from the start, it felt like the show had found a new center. Colonel Potter was calm, wise, and real. A true army man who could be firm when needed, but also kind and funny in a quiet way. He didn't need big speeches. A simple look or short joke said enough. Harry Morgan wasn't new to acting. Before MASH, he had already been in more than 100 movies and TV shows, including Dragnet, High Noon, and The Oxbow Incident. He had played all kinds of roles. The producers knew he could handle anything. He had already appeared in Season 3 as a different, more over-the-top character. But when McLean Stevenson left, they needed someone steady, and Harry was the perfect choice. On screen, Colonel Potter became a voice of reason. He led with care, and his presence made a big difference. Off-screen, Harry Morgan was just as kind. The cast loved him, the crew respected him, and fans saw his heart in every scene. He didn't try to be the star. He just naturally became one. After MASH ended, Harry Morgan returned as Colonel Potter in the spin-off show After MASH, which followed the character's life after the war. The new show didn't last long, but Harry kept acting. He took on guest roles, did voice work, and stayed active for a while. Eventually, he decided to step away from Hollywood and enjoy a peaceful, quiet life in his later years. Harry passed away on December 7, 2011, at the age of 96. There were no scandals or drama, just the passing of a man who had lived a long and meaningful life. His role as Colonel Potter wasn't just another part on TV. It became a lasting symbol of calm, steady leadership during a time of uncertainty, both on screen and for the people watching at home. David Ogden Stiers, the snob with a secret soft side. Just when MASH fans were settling into the calm leadership of Colonel Potter, the show stirred things up again, and this time, it didn't play it safe. Instead of bringing in another lovable figure, the writers took a daring left turn. They gave the 47th a character who didn't want to be liked. He didn't want to fit in. He acted like he'd rather be anywhere else. When Frank Burns left MASH, he took all his loud and jealous behavior with him. He was wild and unpredictable, and fans had gotten used to that. So, how do you replace someone like that? You don't try to copy him. Instead, they gave us a brand new kind of character, someone completely different. That's when Major Charles Emerson Winchester III walked into the 47th. He was nothing like Frank. He was a fancy, well-educated surgeon from Boston. He had perfect manners, spoke with a rich accent, and acted like he was smarter than everyone else. Right away, he made it clear that he didn't want to be there. He looked down on the camp, the people, and even the war itself. Most people in the unit didn't like him at first, and neither did the viewers. But something strange happened. People couldn't stop watching him. Winchester was proud and serious, but actor David Ogden Stiers played him in a very special way. Underneath all the pride, there was something softer. He seemed lonely at times, and even though he tried to hide it, you could tell he had a good heart. Over time, he showed it. He helped a young soldier find joy in music again. He cried when he saw the pain that war caused. He still acted proud, but it became clear he truly cared about people. David made this change feel natural. He didn't force it. He just let the character grow slowly, and fans appreciated that. Winchester became one of the most loved characters on the show. Before MASH, David Ogden Stiers had already done a lot of acting on stage and TV. He studied at Juilliard, one of the best acting schools in the world, and worked with respected theater groups like the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. He was serious about his craft, but it was MASH that made him truly famous. After the show ended, David found a whole new career. He became a popular voice actor, especially for Disney. You might know him as Cogsworth the Clock in Beauty and the Beast, or from Pocahontas and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. His deep, clear voice made these animated characters come to life. In real life, David also loved classical music. Just like Winchester, he enjoyed the finer things. He even conducted more than 70 orchestras across the country. In 2009, David shared something very personal. He came out as gay. For years, he had kept this private because he worried about how Hollywood would react. When he finally told the truth, fans admired his honesty and quiet bravery. David Ogden Stiers passed away in 2018 at the age of 75 after battling bladder cancer. Fans still remember him not just for his talent, but for the warmth he brought to every role. William Christopher, the gentle heart behind Father Mulcahy. Amid all the noise and tension at the 4077th, one character stood out by doing the opposite. He wasn't loud or boisterous, he brought peace. That was Father Mulcahy. Quiet, kind, and deeply caring, he became the moral heart of MASH. And the man behind him, William Christopher, brought a real-life warmth that made the role feel honest and true. Here's where things get interesting. William Christopher wasn't the first actor to play Father Mulcahy. In the very first episode of MASH, someone else had the role. But before the actual series even started, producers made a change, and it turned out to be the right call. When William stepped in, he brought something special. A quiet, honest kindness that helped turn the chaplain into one of the most important characters on the show. Father Mulcahy was a beacon of hope and peace in the storm during the worst moments of the war. Father Mulcahy did more than just pray or give sermons. He was always in the middle of things, helping doctors in surgery, calming down scared soldiers, and speaking up when something didn't feel right. William made the chaplain feel real. He showed us that strength isn't always loud or bossy. Sometimes it means being patient, kind, and there for others when they need you most. Before MASH, William had already been acting on TV. He showed up in popular shows like The Andy Griffith Show and Hogan's Heroes, usually in smaller parts. But playing Father Mulcahy made him truly famous. He stayed with MASH for all 11 seasons and even came back for the spin-off show After MASH. Off-camera, William was just as gentle and loving. He was married and had 2 sons. One of his sons, Ned, had autism. William and his wife wrote a book called Mixed Blessings to share their story about raising a child with special needs. It showed how deeply he cared, not just as an actor, but as a father and husband too. William Christopher passed away on December 31, 2016, at the age of 84, after fighting a rare type of lung cancer. His passing was sad, but his memory lives on. Alan Arbus, the shrink who knew how to make you laugh and think. Alan Arbus played Dr. Sidney Friedman in the show. Sidney wasn't your typical stiff psychiatrist. Instead, he arrived with a cigarette dangling from his lips and a quick joke ready to lighten even the heaviest moments, making him a comforting presence for soldiers grappling with trauma. Sydney wasn't a regular face in every episode, more of a special guest who showed up when the story called for his unique brand of insight. But whenever he shows up, all eyes turn to him. His sharp wit and laid-back demeanor made it easier for the toughest characters to open up about their fears and doubts. Alan Arbus breathed life and complexity into Sydney, turning him into one of MASH's most cherished recurring characters. Before stepping in front of the camera, Alan had a fascinating career behind it. In the 1940s and 50s, he was a well-known fashion photographer, working with top magazines like Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. But by the 1960s, he made a bold career change, turning to acting. He often played quirky, clever roles that matched his unique personality and flair perfectly. After his memorable appearances on MASH, Alan continued to work steadily in TV, mostly in guest roles. He preferred to keep a low profile, letting his performances quietly make their mark rather than chasing fame. Yet even years later, fans remember him most vividly as Dr. Sidney Friedman, the character who could make you laugh and think all at once, offering a rare mix of humor and heartfelt understanding. Alan Arbus passed away in April 2013 at the age of 95, leaving behind a legacy as one of television's coolest and smartest side characters. Loretta Swit, the last goodbye to Hot Lips Houlihan. Loretta Swit was more than just a star on MASH. She was the heart of the whole show. She played Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan, a strong army nurse who always followed the rules. At the start, her character seemed strict, sometimes mean, and stuck in a messy relationship with Major Frank Burns. But Loretta didn't like how simple the role was. She believed Margaret could be so much more. She spoke to the writers and asked them to make Margaret more real. Slowly, things changed. Margaret became smarter, kinder, and stronger. She stood up for herself and earned the respect of the whole camp. Over the years, she went from being the joke to being one of the most powerful women on TV. Loretta showed that a woman could be brave, caring, and a leader all at the same time. Her hard work didn't go unnoticed. Loretta Swit was nominated for 10 Emmy Awards and won 2 in 1980 and 1982. But for her, it wasn't just about the awards. It was about showing real women on screen. Fans, especially women, felt seen and inspired by the way she played Margaret. Loretta stayed on MASH from the first episode to the very last one. She didn't leave early. She stayed for all 11 seasons. After the show ended in 1983, she kept acting. She was in many TV shows and stage plays like Murder, She Wrote, and Shirley Valentine. But outside of acting, she found a new passion, helping animals. Additionally, Loretta loved animals deeply. She started a group called Sweetheart Animal Alliance to help stop animal cruelty and rescue animals in danger. She spent years giving her time and money to protect animals. Just like her character on MASH, she stood up for those who couldn't speak for themselves. On May 30th, 2025, Loretta Swit passed away at age 87 in her home in New York City. Her housekeeper found her that morning, and the cause was said to be natural. The news made fans everywhere sad. Alan Alda, her co-star and friend, said she had fire, heart, and truth in everything she did. Loretta didn't just play Margaret, she became her. Loretta Swit's story didn't end when the show did. She helped change how women were seen on TV, and off-screen, she made the world kinder to animals. Her legacy lives on through her work, her fans, and the lives she touched. And now, as we remember Loretta Swit and say our goodbyes, we're reminded that MASH wasn't just a show. It was a movement. Many of the original stars may be gone, but their impact lives on. So let's turn the page and celebrate those who are still with us. Their stories aren't finished yet, and the legacy of MASH continues through them. The lasting legacy of MASH, honoring the cast and the impact that still resonates. Even though MASH has said goodbye to many of its original stars, some beloved cast members are still with us today, and they continue to carry the heart of the show with them. The final episode aired way back in 1983, but MASH's spirit hasn't gone anywhere. It still lives on through its powerful stories, its unforgettable characters, and the people who helped bring it all to life. One of those actors is Mike Farrell, who played Captain Benjamin Franklin Honeycutt. He was smart and kind and always tried to do the right thing, even in the middle of a war. Mike brought warmth and calm to the room. He felt like the best friend you'd want by your side during hard times. Off-screen, Mike is just as caring. He's spent years fighting for human rights and animal protection, showing that the kindness we saw on TV was real. Then there's Jamie Farr, who played the unforgettable Corporal Maxwell Klinger. Fans still remember Klinger's wild outfits and hilarious attempts to get discharged from the army by pretending to be crazy. But under the laughs was a big heart, and Jamie made sure we saw that. Even today, Jamie often talks about MASH in interviews and keeps in touch with fans. He believes, just like the show did, that laughter can help us survive the hardest times. Gary Berghoff, who played the sweet and soft-spoken Radar O'Reilly, is another fan favorite still with us. Radar was young, innocent, and always seemed to know what was needed before anyone else did. Even though Gary left acting years ago, he continues to support causes close to his heart and sometimes surprises fans with interviews or messages. He's kept Radar's gentle spirit alive. Along with many guest stars and behind-the-scenes crew, these surviving cast members help keep MASH alive for old fans and introduce them to new ones. Whether it's through reunions, documentaries, or just sharing memories, they remind us why the show was so special. MASH wasn't just about doctors and soldiers. It was about friendship, courage, and finding hope in dark times. The show also broke new ground for television. It wasn't afraid to talk about serious topics like war, loss, and emotional struggles, but it still made people laugh. That mix of comedy and truth made MASH one of the most powerful shows ever made. Shows like Scrubs and Grey's Anatomy wouldn't be the same without the path MASH helped create. So even though time has passed, the show hasn't faded away. It lives on in the hearts of fans, in the work of its cast, and in the way it changed television forever. What do you think made MASH truly unforgettable? Was it the sharp writing, the powerful performances, or just the right timing? And which scene or moment has stayed with you all these years? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you enjoyed this video, click on the next video on your screen.